The cost of a spill. It was a warm September evening in 2024, and the Grand Meridian Hotel in downtown Chicago glittered like a jewel under the city's skyline. Chandeliers cast golden light across the ballroom, where the city's elite mingled, their laughter sharp and their glasses clinking with overpriced champagne. Among them moved Elena Harper, a waitress who'd been on her feet for 7 hours, weaving through a sea of designer dresses and custom suits. She was invisible to these people, her black uniform and pinned-up hair blending into the background of their opulence. Elena didn't mind. Being unseen meant fewer demands, fewer snide comments. She balanced a tray of sparkling wine, her steps practiced and silent, as she approached Table 9. Table 9 was trouble. 5 men in their late 20s, already drunk by the dessert course, celebrating what they called the Vance deal. Their leader, Caleb Vance, heir to a real estate empire, lounged with a smirk, his dark hair slicked back, his watch glinting like it cost more than Elena's rent for a year. "Hey, sweetheart," he drawled as she poured, his voice cutting through the hum of the gala. "You ever get tired of serving people like us?" His friends snickered, one of them scrolling through his phone, probably posting their antics to social media. Elena kept her face neutral, a skill honed over years. "Just doing my job, sir," she said, steady, professional. She'd learned long ago to swallow her pride. It was safer that way. Caleb leaned closer, squinting at her name tag. "Elena, huh? Pretty name. Got a man waiting for you at home, Elena?" His tone was mocking, his friends egging him on with exaggerated gasps. "I'm married, sir," she replied, her voice flat. "Oh, married?" Caleb clapped, theatrical. "What's he do? Let me guess, delivery driver? Janitor?" The table erupted in laughter. Elena's jaw tightened, but she held her tongue. "He's in construction," she said, finishing the pour. The bottle was empty. "Time to go." But Caleb wasn't done. He stood, swaying slightly, his phone now in hand, recording. "One question, Elena," he said, louder now, drawing eyes from nearby tables. "Does it sting, seeing all this wealth, knowing you'll never touch it?" Her heart pounded, but she kept her composure. "Have a good evening, gentlemen." She turned to leave. Caleb's voice followed, sharp and cruel. "Hey, I'm talking to you." What happened next unfolded in a blur, yet it burned into Elena's memory in excruciating slow motion. Caleb grabbed a glass of cola from the table one they'd ordered for mixing drinks and, with a grin, poured it over her head. The liquid was ice cold, soaking her hair, her face, dripping down her neck and into her uniform. Ice cubes clattered to the hardwood floor. The ballroom fell silent, gasps rippling through the crowd. Elena froze, the humiliation like a physical weight, crushing her chest. Caleb's friends howled, one of them filming, shouting, "Post it! Post it!" Her manager, red-faced, appeared instantly. "What's going on here?" he barked, his eyes darting to Caleb, then softening with fear when he saw the Vance name tag. "She was rude," Caleb said casually, sitting back down. "Just teaching her some manners." The manager grabbed Elena's arm. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Vance." "Elena, break room. Now." She stumbled away, colas sticking to her skin, her shoes squelching with every step. Faces stared, some shocked, some embarrassed, but none spoke up. In the staff bathroom, she locked the door and faced the mirror. Her mascara streaked black, her carefully ironed blouse ruined. She didn't cry. Crying never fixed anything. Her phone buzzed. A text from her husband, Marcus. "How's work, love?" She stared at the screen, fingers hovering. Telling him would only make it worse. Men like Caleb Vance owned the world hotels, lawyers, reputations. Complaining would cost her job, maybe more. She typed, "Fine, home by 1. Love you." Then trashed the soaked blouse, changed into her spare uniform, and went back to work, head down, invisible again. What Elena didn't know was that a busboy named Javier, who'd always been kind to her, had seen everything. Furious, he did something reckless. He sent the video to a number he shouldn't have known. By sunrise, that 23-second clip would land on the desk of Marcus Reed, a man who didn't just work in construction, controlled Chicago's concrete, steel, and permits. The man who built the city's skyline. The man whose wife had just been drenched in cola for sport. At 5:30 a.m., in a quiet Lincoln Park townhouse, Leo Carter pulled up in his nondescript sedan, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. He'd worked for Marcus Reed for 17 years, delivering bad news through raids, betrayals, and deals gone sour. But this morning, his phone felt like a grenade. The video had arrived from an unknown number. No message, just the clip. He'd almost deleted it, thinking it was spam. Then he watched it. Now, he was at Marcus's door, the house unlisted, with rose bushes out front and a soccer goal in the driveway, a home that screamed normal, not the nerve center of a shadow empire. Marcus sat at the kitchen table in a gray hoodie, sipping black coffee, skimming the Chicago Tribune. At 47, he looked like any contractor starting his day. Broad shoulders, calloused hands, a touch of gray in his beard. He glanced up. Leo, 6 a.m.? This better be good. Leo set his phone down. You need to see this. Marcus frowned, but picked it up. The video played. The glittering ballroom, Caleb's smirk, the cola splashing over Elena's head, her frozen shock. Marcus's jaw tightened, his grip on the phone like a vice. When it ended, the kitchen was silent except for the tick of a clock. His voice, when it came, was low, lethal. Last night, Leo said. Grand Meridian, some charity gala. A kid from the kitchen sent it. Javier. He's clean, works with Elena sometimes. Marcus played it again, then again, his face a mask. She didn't tell me, he said finally. Came home, said work was fine, kissed me goodnight like nothing happened. Leo nodded. Probably didn't want you to worry. Marcus laughed, a hollow sound. Worry? My wife gets humiliated, and she's protecting me. He stood, pacing to the window. Outside, the neighborhood stirred dog walkers, delivery trucks, ordinary life. The life Elena fought to keep normal by staying silent. I want everything on the kid, Marcus said. Everything on the hotel. Who owns it? Who was there? Leo hesitated. There's more. Look at the background, around 12 seconds. Marcus replayed it, paused, zoomed in. There, in the crowd, stood an older man in a sharp suit, mid-50s, holding a drink, oblivious to his son's cruelty. That's Edward Vance, Leo said quietly. Marcus's face drained of color. No, yeah, Edward Vance. You're Edward Vance. For 3 years, Marcus had worked with Edward through a maze of shell companies, supplying cement and labor for Vance Group projects worth $50 million. Clean on paper, but a quiet pipeline for Marcus's less-than-legal cash flow. Edward thought Marcus was just a well-connected contractor, their meetings rare and discreet. Now, Marcus realized, the man who'd watched his wife's humiliation was his silent partner. His son, Marcus whispered. Caleb Vance, 28, Princeton grad, zero discipline. Party boy, DUIs buried, lawsuits settled under the table. Marcus stared at the frozen image of Edward. He was there, did nothing. Leo stayed silent. Marcus's movements sharpened, rage now controlled. Call the crew. Meeting tonight. I want every Vance project, every contract, every dollar they owe. Where they bank, where they're weak, who they fear. Leo nodded. Boss, if we move on them, the partnership's done. Marcus's eyes were steel. You don't humiliate my wife and keep building with my concrete. That night, in a nondescript warehouse in Pilsen, officially a storage for construction gear, Marcus held court. 8 men sat around a folding table under harsh fluorescent lights as lieutenants, running trucking, unions, and supply chains that masked millions in shadow money. Frank Nails Russo spoke first, his voice rough from years on job sites. Grab the kid tonight. Make it quick. Agreed, said Victor Liu, who handled cement deals. Disrespect the boss's wife? He vanishes. Murmurs of agreement rippled. Leo stood in the corner, arms crossed, knowing Marcus had other plans. Marcus let them vent suggestions of broken kneecaps, torched cars, then raised a hand. The room hushed. If we grab Caleb, the feds get involved. FBI, wiretaps, cameras. We don't need that heat over a rich brat. Victor's voice rose. So we do nothing? Marcus's eyes glinted. I didn't say that. He walked to a whiteboard, photos taped up, Caleb, Edward, the Grand Meridian, the Vance Group logo. This isn't about Caleb. It's about Edward Vance. He explained. Edward, the polished developer, relied on Marcus's supply chains. His son's cruelty was a symptom. Edward's silence and that press release blaming Elena was the disease. He thinks I need him more than he needs me, Marcus said. He's wrong. Leo clicked a remote, showing a spreadsheet. Vance Group has 4 projects, $1.3 billion total. West Loop condos, River North offices, Southside apartments, Lakeview retail. All use our cement, our steel, our labor. Faces lit with realization. They're waiting on permits, Leo added. Lakeview needs zoning approval. Southside stuck in environmental review. We've got friends in City Hall. Marcus wrote on the board, contracts, permits, financing, reputation. These are their weak points. We hit them all. No blood, no fingerprints. Just a string of bad luck Edward can't fix. Day 2 dawned with chaos. In a West Loop trailer, the Vance project manager stared at blueprints, cursing. The cement trucks didn't show, he told Frank over coffee. Supplier says their fleet's down transmission failures. Frank feigned surprise. That's rough. Our trucks could deliver, but it'll cost triple, and we're booked for days. Across town, Victor met a city clerk over breakfast, sliding $6,000 in an envelope. Southside Project's environmental review, Victor said casually. Could it drag out? The clerk pocketed the cash. 6 months, maybe more. New bird species concerns. By noon, Leo sat with a banker friend, Rachel Kim, at a Loop cafe. Vance Group's leveraged, she admitted. Short-term loans, tight deadlines. One delay, and their interest rates spike. Leo smiled. Good to know. Edward Vance, in his glass office overlooking Lake Michigan, felt the ground shift. 2 projects stalled in one morning: cement shortages for West Loop, steel delayed for River North. His phone rang relentlessly. Banks, investors, project managers. This isn't normal, his COO, Margaret Klein, said. No one else is having supply issues. Just us. Edward's CFO, Daniel Park, added, Fifth Third Bank's nervous. If we miss the West Loop pour, we're out $3 million in penalties. By afternoon, a blog post on Chicago Real Estate Insider hinted at trouble. Vance Group faces delays. A deeper crisis? Social media buzzed, tying it to Caleb's viral video. Edward's stock dropped 4%. Caleb, meanwhile, sipped martinis at a Gold Coast rooftop bar, laughing off the news. Dad'll handle it, he told his friends. Always does. His phone buzzed Edward again. He ignored it. What he didn't know was that his father's empire was cracking, and the man pulling the strings was someone Edward had never suspected. Day 3, Marcus tightened the screws. A city official called Edward about the Southside project. New wetland concerns, she said. 90-day review, minimum. Edward slammed the phone down. Anonymous tip my ass. Another blog post hit, this time picked up by the Chicago Sun-Times. Vance Group struggles as delays mount. Investors panicked. 3 pulled $25 million from Lakeview. By evening, Marcus's shell companies, masked as Horizon Ventures, bought $210 million of Vance Group debt from jittery banks at 88 cents on the dollar. Leo texted Marcus, we own them. Edward's emergency board meeting was grim. His team sat around a mahogany table, faces pale. We're being targeted, Edward said. By Marcus Reed. He dug into Elena's life, found her husband's name in old contracts. He's our supplier, Margaret whispered. Controls our cement, steel, everything. Their lawyer, Stephen Holt, shook his head. We can't sue. Those shell companies are restructured to hide our tax games. Litigation means exposing ourselves to the IRS, maybe RICO. Edward's hands shook. So he's untouchable? Daniel's voice was hollow. He owns 30% of our debt. He can call it early, force bankruptcy, buy our assets cheap. Margaret glared at Caleb, who'd been dragged in, hung over. This is because of your stunt. Caleb scoffed. Over some soda? Edward's voice broke. Over humiliating a woman whose husband can destroy us. Day 4, Marcus set the final trap. At 10 a.m., he met Edward and Caleb in a plain office in Englewood, a far cry from the Vance Group's sleek headquarters. Marcus, in a flannel shirt, looked like any contractor, but his eyes burned with quiet fury. No misunderstanding, he said when Edward tried to smooth things over. Your son drenched my wife. You watched, then blamed her. Caleb mumbled, I was drunk. Marcus's gaze cut to him. You're always drunk. Always untouchable. Not anymore. He slid a contract across the desk. Terms. Non-negotiable. A televised apology from both. $60 million to a service workers' charity, 12% of the West Loop project, and Caleb's banishment from public life. Edward signed, his hand trembling. Caleb's signature was a scrawl of defeat. The next day, The press conference aired live from Vance Group's headquarters. The lobby buzzed with reporters, drawn by the viral story of wealth and accountability. Edward, haggard, spoke first. My son humiliated Elena Harper. I stood by and did nothing. Our statement blaming her was a lie. She did nothing wrong. Caleb, pale, added, I treated her like she didn't matter. I was wrong. I'm sorry. The room erupted with questions. Are you apologizing because you're sorry or because your company's collapsing? Edward didn't flinch. Both. We faced consequences, delays, financial losses because we failed morally. Elena watched from her Rogers Park apartment, tears streaming. Her phone lit up, friends, co-workers, strangers cheering her victory. The video hit 3 million views in hours, trending with captions like, billionaires bow to a waitress. Marcus watched from a diner, Leo at his side. It's done, Leo said. Marcus nodded. Let their projects move. Cement trucks rolled. Permits cleared. Stocks climbed 3%. But Marcus kept the Debtan insurance policy. Weeks later, Elena returned to the Grand Meridian. The staff welcomed her like a hero. Patrons were polite now, cautious. Caleb vanished from the spotlight, buried in back-office work, learning what invisibility felt like. Edward met Marcus monthly, never missing a date, never questioning terms. Elena, at home with Marcus, sensed his role but didn't ask. Over burnt lasagna, she said, I feel seen now. Like I matter. Marcus kissed her forehead. You always did, love. Some people just needed a reminder. Chicago moved on, but in boardrooms and job sites, the whispers lingered. The Vance empire stood, but everyone knew who really held the city's foundations. Marcus Reed, the contractor who brought billionaires to their knees, faded back to his quiet life, his power hidden in plain sight. What do you think? Was Marcus a hero for defending his wife's dignity, or a ruthless mastermind who went too far? Should Caleb have faced harsher consequences, or was his public shaming enough? And what about Edward? Did he deserve to lose so much for his son's mistake, or was he just protecting his family? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if this story gripped you, and subscribe for more tales where the underdog flips the script.